Okay, how's everybody doing today? I just wanted to. We talked last night a little bit about me bringing on EOS UK, and today we got him on. We have Roger Davies.
That's me. Thank you.
Yeah, and then we have Jim Hewitt from EOS UK. So you guys are in Nottingham, England, and you told me just a little bit ago that's where Robin Hood is from, and that's what I remember about Nottingham, England, is the Robin Hood. And of course, I'm in San Diego, California. You guys are what, 7, 8 p.m.?
Yeah, so 7:30 just coming up now. So yeah,
you're late evening. I'm mid morning. So anyway, you're running for block producer, and of course, we were talking about this a little bit earlier about the vast experience you guys have and all the background you have as far as bringing that to the block producing of EOS and everything like that. So, and that's coming up in a few days. We got the test nets running. We got the mainnet ready to launch. So just give me a little information about EOS UK, and a little bit about what you plan on doing, and a little bit, and maybe we can talk about some other stuff too. So just go ahead. I'll let you talk for a while, and I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it.
Sure. Well, thanks for having us on. Because first,
thank you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. My pleasure. Whenever I can bring people like yourself on to bring quality to this EOS platform, all this stuff that's going on, it's my pleasure. I can't be more excited about it. So go ahead.
Yeah,
talk a little bit, and we'll listen.
Ken, first of all, we wanted to acknowledge you as one of the leading ambassadors of EOS, because we've been following your videos, and I think it's great, the passion that you've got for it. We feel it matches our passion as well. So just hats off to you on that, because obviously you're not being paid for it. Nobody's paying you for making these videos and promoting it. So really good stuff to see somebody with so much passion as well. And that's really leads in quite nicely to why we're doing this as EOS block producer candidates, because we see EOS as challenging a lot of the existing systems, which in my view, and probably in Jim's view as well, are flawed in so many ways, like the monetary system, the political system, the healthcare system, judicial systems. They could all be affected positively by EOS with its inbuilt governance system, and the financial aspect of it as well. So universal basic income, for example, is one of the areas that I'm very passionate about, because even though I'm sort of considered by many, I suppose, to be quite privileged to live in England and run my own business and own my own home and things like that, I do still feel like I am a wage slave to a degree. And having been sort of started working around about 11 years old, doing my first jobs, mowing lawns and things like that, I've been working ever since. I'm 48, just a couple of days ago. So it's a long old road, and I'd like to think that for the next generation, because I have children, we both have children, I actually have 2 grandchildren as well, is that it's going to be something different for them. And that's why I've decided to get involved in EOS and run for block producer. And so the why is so important. That is the center of everything. And whilst we're looking at all of the other block producer candidates that are involved in this, and some really, really talented guys who I don't pretend to be as technically competent as them. We sort of have to buy in that skill set rather than having it ourselves, but just in awe of them, and wanting to be involved in that and in EOS, which is going to change the world. Basically, I really feel like it's what I was invented for. So what we're going to do is, unlike a lot of block producer candidates, we're going to focus on being a block producer, and being a block producer, and not having any side distractions. Basically just focus on creating a robust, secure and scalable block production node, like a single-minded mission really, to do that. And once we've achieved that, or once I consider that we've achieved that and we've got something that's really robust and stable, then we're going to allow Jim to spear off into our community project, which is EOS University, where we're going to donate a percentage of block rewards into, well, do you want to talk about that project?
Yeah, basically. You always do this, don't you? Go and Jim, you talk about that. Oh yeah, okay.
Put him on the spot.
Yeah, does it every meetup. Oh yeah, I'll do that. Well,
it's just to show it's not rehearsed.
That's right. Yeah. My background is I've been a teacher for 20 years, working in deprived areas or underprivileged areas in the UK. Sort of really, I've had a very challenging career working with people who have not had the best start in lives, and I've always seen that as, people used to say to me, well, why don't you work in a really nice school? And I said, well, you know, that's not my skill set. My skill set is really trying to help people who haven't had the best of starts and trying to deal with, trying to make their lives better. And I was a senior leader in a school that that had a very big change in the way it, a massive progress in the way it was dealing with its young people, and increased its progress. It's in areas that are, you know, that a lot of people don't see. So I sort of saw the idea of being a block producer. I sort of said to Roger, well, the first question anybody's asked is, what are you going to do with the money? What are you going to do with it? First, that's assuming that we make any money, but everyone thinks that we are. So what are you going to do with the money? So I thought, well, my skill set's in education. So Roger's committed to a percentage of block rewards coming into the EOS University, which is a Kickstarter project of mine, brainchild of mine, where we're going to spearhead education around the blockchain, around the EOS blockchain. So it's sort of three areas. One is a resource hub where we'll get all the resources that people are writing now, because a lot of the block producers that you hear say, oh, I've written how to do this, I've written how to do that. If you want to learn how to do this, that and the other, see me. So the idea is that we're going to create a hub that's going to bring all those resources together, and it's going to then have some sort of accreditation attached to it. So if you spend all your time looking at something, you know it's worthwhile, with some sort of peer-to-peer review. Again, this is very early days, and it's something that we're thinking about. And then the second phase of that is actually having some boots on the ground approach. So getting ambassadors into schools to promote not just computer science, but all the areas that the blockchain is going to affect in the legal area and sort of financial area, political area, getting young people to get them to understand that there's this thing called the EOS blockchain, and it's going to change their lives, and get ambassadors into schools to deliver programs to get young people excited about the prospect of the blockchain in EOS. And
also, it's moving so fast, isn't it, that these kids that are going through this education now, they're going to be popping out of the system in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years' time, and they're going to be like have the wrong qualifications, really, the wrong skill set, because you know the educational system at the moment, I think, is not geared up really to produce blockchain engineers and you know, people who are skilled in
you
these
like,
areas.
You know, sort of people. What was the I can't remember his name. The sort of the legal side on the EOS blockchain.
Ian Grigg.
Yeah,
Ian Grigg from Block One.
Yeah, and all that sort of. Or the sort of the legal side and the challenge side to it, and the fact that you're protected because there's arbitration. That's what I'm looking for. Or the arbitration on the blockchain. You know, you're going to have a load more people trained up in arbitration, and it's going to be a real challenge to the lawyers, I believe. That if you know, I think that the blockchain is going to challenge many areas of the legal profession. Over in the UK, the thing that we're always thinking about is that the housing industry, buying and selling houses, is so rife for change on the blockchain. You know, things you can do on the blockchain to make that a much smoother process.
Yeah, I mean, obviously over in the States, there you have the escrow system, don't you, for buying and selling houses?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm listening from you guys are really coming up with some good stuff. Are we still good on the video? I'm in the audio. Because it looks like it sounds okay. You guys are coming up with some really good stuff. When you talk about educational systems being behind in this, I mean, that's to me, that's one of my big passions too, because, you know, I had to be self-educated. I had to self-teach myself how to do everything on the internet because I never heard, and, you know, I guess Block One has already given some money to Virginia Tech University, I believe it was like $3 or $4 million to support a program there to get people trained in the blockchain. So yeah, that's a great idea. I love that idea. That's one of my passions too.
If you look at the timeline on that, you'll see that we got there first.
Oh, you did it first. So you were the ones that come up with the idea to reinvest in education.
Well, we have already a website on eosuniversity.io where we put up the initial idea, and Jim's brought in some of his colleagues from his past life, who've decided that they want to get on board with the project as well. So you can read about that on there, and then after we posted that, a few days afterwards, Dan Larimer made the announcement, the $3 million donation to Virginia Tech. So
he's got a little bit more financial clout than we have at the moment.
But it's all the same idea, and definitely it was good that it felt good for us that he was kind of validating what we were wanting to do as well. So.
And we have had some very tentative email exchanges with Virginia Tech as well. So it's we're actually making progress. Although it's that the university side's on hold until we actually get some block rewards, we are still working in the background, and we've even we're doing the groundwork, and we have actually got an email link up and some discussion with Virginia Tech on their computing side. So things are happening. It's just
they said to us, come back to us after the summer.
Yes.
But, there's an initial dialogue going there, which Mike has been spearheading for us, along with a lot of other stuff that he's doing. So that's great.
Yeah, you're not going to get this. I mean, if we want to get the blockchain to do what we intend it to do, we're going to have people that are familiar with it when they're going to school and colleges, and they're going to have to get oriented with it. And so, yeah, that's a very good idea. That's a very, very good idea. I love that idea. And then the other part is, as far as the real estate, that's another great idea. Real estate moving to the blockchain is probably one of the greatest sources or greatest hopes for the blockchain, I believe. Moving, in fact, I even did a video one time about that, moving all the real estate to the blockchain, because real estate is really a mess. I mean, it is. It's a mess. It's a mess with all the escrow and all the other stuff. I'm a trained lawyer. I went to law school. I understand how difficult it is to do a real estate transaction. And especially because I talked about this before, is whenever I think about England, the UK, I always think about common law, because that's the origination of the law here in the United States. It comes from the common law in England. So yeah, all the fee simples and fee absolutes, and all the different ways of titling property, and
all the Latins.
This stuff is amazing.
Well, I always thought that the escrow system was perhaps a bit of an advancement of the way we do things in the UK when you're buying a house. And one of the ridiculous situations in the UK is you have to do these searches, and for example, you have to do a search to see if there's been a coal mine underneath your property. So this house, we're in 100 years old, right? So we'd know if there was a coal mine under here. It'd be public record, but everybody that's bought this house has had to do that exact same search. And what's even more ridiculous is that if you were buying this property and you got those searches done, and then the transaction didn't go through, and that buyer backed out and somebody else came in, they would then have to do that same search again. They couldn't use the search that had been done 2 weeks ago, even if it was by the same firm of solicitors or lawyers, and things like that. Just ridiculous. And that could definitely be straight on the blockchain, and you could say, oh, here's the key to that search that was done 2 weeks ago, and save yourself the fee. I'm sure the solicitors just have them in their drawer, don't they?
These are the simple use solutions that I just love about the blockchain. I think in the United States, what they do is they just get title insurance, because nobody wants to go back and they want to sift through all the background. Everybody spends thousands of dollars on title insurance. All that could be eliminated with the blockchain. All this could be put on the blockchain, and it would all be transparent. Anybody could see it, and we wouldn't have to go through all this, what you're talking about, and pay somebody every time.
Once you start thinking like that, there's just you could come up with 100 ideas a day, couldn't you? Ways that the blockchain can change the world, and we just need to get the EOS blockchain live, because really at the moment, as far as I've seen, it's the only one that's got the capability of being able to do all of that, do the next Uber, do the next Airbnb, the next Facebook, etc. So just got to get past this weekend, get it live, and
yeah, and I'm glad as block producers, you guys are thinking about those kinds of things, and then, you know, making it a little more understandable for everyday ordinary people. And I mean, so much of our time's been consumed with the ERC20 token and moving over to registration to EOS, and, you know, security issues and BIOS and all this other stuff. But sometimes we just need to step back and say, let's look at the big picture here. We're going to change so much of the very restrictive stuff that happens to us every day that we don't like dealing with. We don't like dealing with title searches, and, you know, we want to have people that when they get out of school, they don't have some you know, vague idea of what they're going to do, or, you know, have some education that really doesn't apply to what it is that the real world's about right now. This is great stuff. I mean, education and redoing the, you know, the way people transact real estate. I love that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff I'm excited about. This kind of stuff I'm glad to hear block producers talk about, because you're seeing where this is going, and not just, you know,
focusing on the why. You know,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working full time in the internet since 1995. My first full time job in the internet, and I was selling lease lines to the early internet service providers here in the UK. And I went on to then design internet solutions for companies before I set up my own company in 2004, which is, you know, Advanta, the company behind EOS UK. And so, you know, we're seeing it as, although it's a bit more complicated, it is just another internet solution that we need to deliver, albeit we've got to do it in concert with, you know, all of the other block producers, and the whole voting, and, you know, everything is like on steroids, a whole nother level above the sort of thing that we're used to. But once we can get past that and just keep focusing on the why we're doing it, and what it can mean for all of us, and, you know, and the next generation and the generations that follow. I mean, that's what's really exciting. That's what's driving us.
Yeah, but I think the key for us, for why we are on with you, and why we're sort of putting ourselves forward for this vote, is that, you know, the way I see it, it's what Roger said, this idea of a single-minded mission. The mission is to be a block producer, to protect that blockchain. So all those fabulous things that people are talking about, and things that you're passionate about, and that we sit and have a coffee, and we've changed the world in 10 minutes. We're just like bang, bang, bang.
Every 10 minutes.
This can happen, this can happen, this can happen. But it's, you know, Roger's been doing this for 14 years, delivering internet solutions, and this is just another job that we feel we are eminently capable of doing. And, you know, we're going to be we're a professional, proper outfit that's been going for 14 years. We've got a certificate of business, etc., etc., etc. It's transparent. We're here. You can come and knock on our door. We've got a bare metal solution. You can go and knock on their door. Everything is there. Everything's transparent. And, you know, we believe it's a real sort of like professional outfit that we are sort of managing.
That's what we're trying to deliver, and yeah, we're just, you know, going to keep moving forwards on that basis. And if we come across a challenge that we can't surmount, then fair enough, you know. But we're going to keep going on that basis, that we just keep going unless we can't, you know. We've got to give it a go. I mean, we had always thought that the block producers were going to be Apple, IBM, you know, Microsoft, these kinds of companies. And as Jim was saying earlier, it's like we looked at the first block producer report candidates, and you know, this was after just the very first one, block producer report number 1, and we're looking at some of the people on there. We're going, well, where's all the big companies? You know, we can do this. We can get involved, and we did feel like we had to, because we're EOS token holders ourselves at that point. So we're going,
we need there wasn't 21 people signed up at that time, or not certainly 21 people, in my opinion, who could actually do the job. So we wanted to be part of that, and obviously now there's 200, etc., and we're getting closer to launch. Everyone's piling in, but you know, we've been in since the first or the second
report when there was 54 block producers. That's the second report. And we were on the way back from EOS London social meetup. We were on the train checking the phone, going, yes, we're in. We've got the full marks. We're in, because back then in the second report there was only 2 sections on, you know, the EOS Go block producer candidate report, and there was those people that had achieved the basic minimum requirements and those that hadn't. And we were in that top list straight away, and we've achieved full marks all the way through. So that's what we're aiming for, really.
I mean, I see this as, you know, getting this weekend over with, in as much as getting the mainnet launch, and hopefully we're going to be, well, we are going to be part of that. Hopefully we're going to play a very big part in it. What this vote does or doesn't do is very much open, but once that is done and we can be really concentrating on protecting our particular node and making it work to the best of it can, then we can start talking about all the real fun stuff, can't we? But we are going to be focused 100% on the infrastructure of our part of our infrastructure, and then checking out everybody else's and calling anybody out who's not doing it properly, in our opinion. Because unless we have peer review, that's the only way you're going to have a stable and robust blockchain, because people have got to call each other out to say, you know, you said you were doing this, you're not, why aren't you, and that sort of thing. So
we're all got to be working together. But so far, you know, we like what we're seeing is, you know, the other block producer candidates are, you know, we'd see them as definitely our peers, or you know, dark lords of all things technical, some of them, you know. So it's great to be part of that team as well, you know. So speaking of the team, we've got a core team of 7. So there's myself and Jim sort of heading things up from a management point of view.
We have logos.
Yeah, we design the logos, and we've got Dan and Paul and Addy running like the scary techie stuff, and Rafa and Bob then helping us out with some of our, you know, our legacy business, if you like, because of course we've got a full business as well already established, on which we're able to use to launch us into the EOS candidacy. And then we've got other supporters as well, Martin and Mike, who you've spoken to, helping us with the PR and the writing, because there's just so much to do. I mean, even just reading all the Telegram channels, you know, it's kind of like full-time job, really, trying to keep up with it all. If you turn your back for a day, you come back and there's hundreds and hundreds of messages that we've got to consume and action, you know. And then we've got Ellie and Bev supporting us as well, because behind every great man there's several great women, and so we're really appreciative of the support that everybody gives us. And I was thinking after our last interview the other day, there's people that I haven't even mentioned, like Jack and Tom, and you know, we've got this really big team coming together now, and it's just great that everybody's really behind it and behind us, and you know, even my mum, bless her.
Yeah.
You know. So
I mean, I think when people say to me, what do you think? Do you think EOS will work? What's going to happen with it? The thing that I always look back on is if you look at the amount of people who are excited by it, and if you look at the Telegram channels and you look at all the other sort of Reddit and etc., there's nothing this big. You know, people say, oh, well, are you sure it's the right chain? Are you sure it's the right thing to be doing? And you just think, well, you've got Dan Larimer, who is obviously a very intelligent man, and the people around him, and then you get everybody else who seems to be passionate about it, people like yourselves. You know, it's almost, I just think, well, this thing has got to be really, really big. It's going to work because of the amount of effort people are willing to put.
Yeah, we're near a track.
I was like,
it's the craziest thing in San Diego. The more expensive the real estate gets, the closer you get to the ocean, that's where the trains are at, because they're running the coaster, which people are running up and down the coast. So yeah, you got a train running right through some of the most expensive real estate in Southern California. Sometimes they try to bury it, but most of the time we're still above ground. So it's always in the background if you're down here. But it is a great place. Yeah, I love you guys' passion, and I love what you guys are talking about, and I love just the way you're talking about it so well that everybody can understand it. You know, we're not talking over so many people's heads. We're talking, you know, in a way that anybody can see what's going on, and see that the fact that everybody has. And there's 2 things I've always liked about EOS. One is that it will change the world. I love that. Everybody that says that challenges that statement will be proven wrong. The second thing I love about EOS is aligned interests. Everybody is moving in the same direction. We don't have a structure where you've got the Zuckerbergs and the Gateses and, you know, the Jeff Bezoses and all these people that are at the top, and everybody else is just kind of trying to fit in someplace below them. Everybody here seems to be very much interested, and everybody seems to be working together. that's why this is such a great project, because it's been designed and structured in a way that everybody's on the same page. And that is unique. And that's very unique. And to have this big of a project, this many people, and I hear nothing about anybody saying, I'm upset, or this isn't working, or this isn't done right, or anything. Everybody I've talked to, and believe me, I've talked to a lot of them. I've talked to probably a good percentage of the people that are running for Block Producer. Everybody is very, very much on the same page. That's great to hear. That's, as somebody that's you know, waiting for this to launch, and somebody that's excited about the future and all the different things it's going to do. So I'm really impressed, and I'm excited, and I'm really impressed with your passion and what you believe and how you see this going forward and what you see going on there. So, gosh, you guys are just great. Just keep going. What else can we talk about?
Absolutely. And
but sorry, I was just going to pick up on what Kevin's saying there. One of our lines on our website is that we speak English, not binary.
I love that. That's great.
One of our key things about we sort of see EOS as a customer. And one of the things about with the customers of our business is that they aren't necessarily very technically au fait. They don't know what they want, but we tell them, and
well, they know what they want.
They know what they want.
How they're going to make it happen.
Make it happen, and we can, you know, they just ring us up and say, we want this. Okay, let me sort of compute that. Okay, this is what you mean, isn't it? And it's this idea to be able to talk to people on a level that they can understand, which is really, really important. You know, at our meetups, we had quite a few people who were sort of challenging what EOS was about. And once we sat them down and spoke to them and sort of said, well, you know, it's not that, it's not Bitcoin, it's not mining, it's this, it's this, it's this. But, oh yeah, oh, that's interesting. And they've been interested ever since. And I think to be able to have that sort of, I think everyone in EOS suddenly becomes an ambassador or an advocate. You know, you start to puff out your chest and you start saying, oh yes, but EOS is going to do this, this, and this. And if someone goes against you, say, well, no, well, you know, like you said, they're going to be wrong.
It's generally because they don't understand how something about EOS has been designed to work. And once you, because obviously we've had our own thoughts about, that seems a bit weird, but then you start looking into the detail of it, and you go, right, and then you realise that there's some very smart people behind that design, and you know, obviously Dan Larimer being the main architect behind it, and of course what he's got to bring apart from his genius mind is, you know, those two previous incarnations of BitShares and Steemit, which, you know, is invaluable experience, isn't it? To be able to launch a blockchain, and it's your third blockchain project. And Steemit is great, but you know, there's a few little problems in there which sort of been solved with EOS, and that's why we tend to think of EOS as like the fourth generation blockchain, really. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Steemit, and BitShares being third generation, and EOS being fourth generation, because it solves a lot of the little niggly problems about BitShares and Steemit. So yeah, it's just great, really. It is. And you know, one of the ways that I've actually been able to manage my business is through communication, and you know, in some ways I do feel like you know, what I've done is not actually that difficult, because all I've done is I've got a technical guy here and I've got a director level decision maker here, and if you put them in the same room, they'd probably fall out with each other. And all I do is I just speak to them individually, and you know, one ends up working for the other through me, and we've delivered these solutions, and so, you know, that's kind of what we're trying to achieve here, is to just be that conduit between what people need to know and the people who know it, you know, and sending that information backwards and forwards. So I think it comes from having two very powerful parents and being the youngest sibling and being able to sit there and watch my sisters wind my parents up and learn what needed not to be said, and you know, and that kind of thing, you know. So who knows? But all of our life experiences make us who we are, and I think that was part of what made me who I am, and you know, really part of the reason why I feel like EOS is what I was born to do. You know, is just to deliver this project and bring it to the world and help it come to life.
Great stuff. That's kind of the way I feel about it. It's like I felt like I was born to do this, and of course it took a while for it to happen, because I'm not a young guy. But I love, you know, Jim, with your teaching background, that you're able to make things simple to understand. Always you know, they say intelligence is the ability to understand or say something in a way anybody can understand. And I find sometimes when people start talking all the different, you know, computer talk, you know, we're talking nodes, we're talking about WebASM, you know, the WebAssembly and the different languages, the C++ and all that stuff. Everybody just they kind of let that go. I don't want to, you know, it's like at that point I just shut down because I don't understand it. But if you could just get this across to people in a very simple, understandable way, but then get the powerful point across of what we're doing and how we're doing it and how everybody is working together to do that. That's just as good as it gets. It's just as good as it gets.
We've had a couple of meetups. So we had a big meetup and there's a few videos of us on the website because Roger's a stickler for production, and we had a proper team to video us and the sound guy. And we've got quite a few videos on the website of us standing up in public, sort of delivering, answering questions, etc., etc. And you know, Roger started his presentation by imagine the day waking up to do a presentation, because it's not something that Roger does. It's something that I'm more used to, but not. And so EOS has actually got him out from behind his screens and into public with a microphone in his hand, which is quite a scary thought. But I mean, I
was excited about doing it as well, which is even scarier. You know, that was how it started. I was waking up in the morning excited about giving a presentation to a room full of people, which, you know, it's not my thing really.
And I sort of see my role as making Roger even more understandable. I actually got him out and said, no, we are doing this. We're going to book the room. As soon as I made him book the room, that was it. I knew he would do it, and he couldn't back out, and it felt like a personal thing to him. And but when Roger talks to me about nodes and about this, that, and the other, and I'll look at him and he'll go, it's not in there, is it, Jim? I'll go, no, go again, and I'll make him go again, and then I can take what I've got and I can deliver it to people on a way that they can understand as well. So I'm sort of a bit of a buffer. I sort of see my role as a buffer between the tech guys and the general public to be able to sort of like make sense of this. I'm not saying I know all of it, because I certainly don't, but I can have a good stab of explaining those things.
Yeah, once you've had it explained to you, you get it. Then.
Yeah, I get it.
You can explain it to anybody.
I just need it. I need to focus it in tight, really tight.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I see myself as. I see myself being somebody who can just talk to anybody about this. I have a technical background, but I also understand. I think the project well enough that I just could talk in simple ways to people, and that's what my channel is. I'm not trying to get over anybody's head, because it doesn't take long for me to get over my own head. I mean, I'll start thinking about this stuff and parallel chains and how they're talking to one another and all this stuff. And next thing I know, my mind, and I'm running, and I don't really know if I'm right or not. And I've got to go back and double check myself. So yeah, you know, everybody has their good thing that they do. The people that do the programming, the people that do the coding, they'll figure that out. Right. The rest of us need to do what we do. Block producers need to do what they do. And then a person like me just needs to tell the story. And I just want to tell the story. And that's all there is to it. I just want to tell the story. Let as many people as I know about it, because I think it's going to improve people's lives. And I'm like you, Jim. I have a real affection for people that need help. That's my passion. I'm a very soft person for wanting to help people. I will always do anything I can to help people, and you know, whatever it takes. I'm a very generous person in that way, and I like giving. And if I can give somebody something to help them, I'll do it. And that's what I hope this whole thing is about: is giving something to somebody.
The whole point about what you're doing is that you're being an advocate for the chain, and I think that's the role of a block producer. We can't just sit in our rooms making these blocks. We've actually got to go out into community, which we do through our meetups and through other various things. And after this weekend, that's when that job doesn't stop. Then that's when that job starts. Yeah. You know, because we've finally got something that's working. We've got to go out to everybody and say, this is now working. You can now build on this, and this is going to be really exciting for your business. You can be able to do this, that, and it is now scalable for you to actually make a difference. And not only that, the fact that it's going to, what I find difficult is that you've got to sort of just make a little switch in your mind, because it's going to challenge a lot of the economics around the tokenization and what Dan's done, the economics is yet to play out. I really believe that, and what it's going to do to the arbitration, what that's going to do to the legal system, is yet to play out. And I don't think
you were saying something about that, weren't you, Ken? About to make that switch and stop thinking about banks and that kind of thing. I think I saw something like that on one of your earlier videos, and it is that you kind of have to start thinking about it differently. And if you've seen the video that of Dan doing his speech at Virginia Tech, where he talks about the world without taxes, have you seen that one?
Yes, I did. I watched that very intently. The thing I thought was interesting is after he gave the presentation, I'm sitting here, I got a million questions in my mind, and he had trouble drawing some questions out of the crowd. So I thought, well, we probably need to educate these guys a little bit more, because he just gives some earth-shaking stuff, and everybody should have been standing up with both hands up going, I want to talk about this more. So I thought that was interesting about that speech.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I feel the exciting thing about this, where we are at the moment, is that I do feel that we're really at the ground floor of it. It's so early, and it's such a privilege to be part of this block producer element of it, that we are so early. And we're going to look back on this year as being something really sort of like transformational, and it's going to be really strange to look back. I mean, you've only got to look back 2 days in EOS, and it's a completely different day to what it was the day before. And once we go live, and once these things start to kick in, and we're out there educating people about the way things are going to change, instead of it being us saying these things and wanting people to believe us, when we've got a product or a chain that's actually there, and we can say, well, what we, like you said, they're wrong, we can really prove that they're wrong, the doubters, because it's going to be working. And I think that's going to be the key.
And it's that thing about new systems displacing the old systems, rather than, which Dan's talked about, rather than having to challenge the existing systems and make them change, just create a completely new system and people start using it. I mean, you only need to look at, the youngsters with their messaging apps and things, how quickly they dropped Facebook when Snapchat came along and WhatsApp, and, they quite happily just drop things that don't work for them anymore, and they'll pick up these new shiny things if they work. And, I think that there's going to be a lot of that going on, definitely, once EOS is live. So,
yeah, I remember Vitalik was talking about the banking system. Vitalik said, you don't replace the banking system. What you do is you just run alongside of it, you run parallel to it, and people will choose the better way of doing it, which means eventually the blockchain will overtake everything else, because the blockchain is a superior way of doing anything online. So yeah, it's just a matter of time until everything moves to the blockchain. I always talk about that, and it's interesting what you said, because I was making my video last night. I was thinking it's Tuesday, and I was thinking to myself, next Tuesday is going to be different.
Yeah.
Next Tuesday we're going to have a blockchain. And I thought, in my mind, it's going to be Tuesday's going to be a different time. It's a different. It'll be a different thing. Everything will be different. And
you're right. For us, it all starts when the freeze command becomes available, which is Saturday at 2200 hours UTC, which is 11 p.m. our time. So let's make sure somebody actually runs that, and that will freeze everything on the Ethereum, or the EOS on the Ethereum blockchain. And at that point, that's when it can start, because obviously it doesn't matter what we're doing now, it's just testing, really. We're just playing around, but at that point it can actually start, the process can begin. So we've got machines keeping the Ethereum blockchain in sync at the moment, but then as soon as that command is run, then the snapshot, the final snapshot can be taken, and the Genesis block created, and and everything can start.
Our system starts.
Yeah, so maybe it'll be 2 a.m. perhaps Sunday morning, I think, is what our schedule's looking like. When that period, 11 p.m. Saturday, 2 a.m. Sunday is when it's all going to be crescendoing, and then who knows what's going to happen after that, assuming it launches successfully the first time, which is not even a given. We might have to throw that one away and do another one. So maybe that process gets repeated a lot. Maybe it will work first time. Maybe the appointed block producers will sit in there for minutes, hours, weeks, months. Nobody really knows how long that process is going to take before the 21 elected block producers come in, and So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting time, and people are going to be trying to buy and sell everything, and they won't be able to because it's going to be locked up for probably at least 3 days, I think it is, before anything can be traded. So that's assuming a successful launch straight away. So there's going to be all sorts of questions flying around. Why can't I get my tokens? Where's my tokens? It's just going to be great. But yeah, this time next week, it'll all be history, won't it? So.
Yeah, and I'll be glad, because when blockchain's up and running and we don't have to deal with the ERC20 token anymore, we don't have to deal with registration, we don't have to deal with all the other things. Did I get my airdrop? Is my wallet being supported on the exchange? All this other stuff. But we've been going on here for almost a little over 30 minutes. I don't know how much longer you guys want to go, but we could close out here pretty quickly, because I know you have. You might have other plans, but to talk just a little bit about the registration.
A little bit about registration.
Yeah, I mean, I think now the last time I saw the percentage, I think it was really getting up there in terms of number of people that have registered their tokens. There was only a little gap at the end, which was red, whereas at the beginning of the week it was something like was it 60 something percent people hadn't registered their EOS tokens on the Ethereum blockchain. So I think that's really caught up, and the message has got out there this week that you need to go and get that done. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that the majority of people will get it done. For those that I don't know are on holiday or are doing not registered for whatever reason. I did hear that Scatter is going to be able to provide them with a solution. So a lot more looking into that needs to be done. But yeah, there is a solution there. There's a video between Happy Money Man and NS James from Scatter where they talk about that solution, how the Scatter Chrome web browser plugin will enable you to kind of get your EOS tokens when they're on the EOS blockchain, even if you haven't registered them on the Ethereum blockchain. So that's really good news, because I know there were quite a few questions going around earlier in the week about, is that if people haven't registered their tokens, is that potentially going to damage the new EOS network? Is it a threat to it? Is it a threat to the token price, which of course is really one of the most popular questions, isn't it? So I don't think people really need to worry so much about that now. Obviously, if you haven't registered your tokens, go and register your tokens. There's lots and lots of videos out there about how to do it on YouTube. I bet you've linked to a few, haven't you, Kent? So
yeah, it's getting pretty well I mean, I hate to even talk about it because it's so well known, but I just want to let everybody know that there may be solutions if, like you say, you're on holiday and everything falls apart and you had a bad weekend and you didn't get it done. So
yeah.
I bet there's even people who've forgotten they've got tokens. There's some people have got crypto all over the place. So I've forgotten about that coin. Yeah,
I did find some, didn't I? I put some crypto somewhere. It wasn't a lot, but it's like, don't move that piece of paper because that's a bit of crypto that I found. I didn't realize I had, and I printed it out and put it on my chair for a reason,
Yeah, my son was one of the earlier investors in all these different cryptos, and he'd buy one and lose one, and he'd say, "Gosh, I put like $20 in it, and now it's worth like 2,000. Where's that at?" So,
where is it?
Yeah, where'd it go? Well, so long as he wasn't that guy down the landfill site looking for his old computer because it had, what was it, $7 million on it or something. Oh.
Yeah, I heard about that. So, well, okay, so let me go ahead and give us all your information as far as how do we get a hold of you, your Telegram and all that good stuff.
Yeah, we're on the full spectrum of social networks, but the best place to start is on our website, eosuk.io. So if you go eosuk.io, and from there, and at the footer of every page, we've got links to Steam, Telegram, Twitter. We're trying to be out there on all the channels. So just whichever channel works for you. But Telegram is our the first place that we tend to publish information. So yeah, drop on the website. So we've got eosuk.io and then eosuniversity.io, which is the new site for the education side.
but there's a button link on the eosuk.io website just to get you through to the university site. There's we put our mission statement on there, and hopefully, if we get voted in, or when we get voted in, must be positive. When we get voted in as a block producer, and we're getting the rewards, we can set that up, and it can be definitely a force for good within the area of education. And I'm really keen about this one, and hopefully it's really going to fly. So, but the other thing about it is that I think people need to realise that that's the link. Even though there's a link to the website, it's a completely independent entity from the block producer.
Yeah, good point.
It's got nothing to do. Roger will have no input into the university whatsoever.
So you're going to create a separate corporation for that, and so Jim's going to head that up with his team, because obviously 20 years in the education industry, he's got a huge network of some really senior education people in the UK to wanting to get involved in it. So
and the reason I mention that is that if any other block producer wants to, their community engagement wants to be around education, and they want to jump on with us, then that we'll be really happy for them to be our sponsor as well. So there's a sort of an open call out there to anybody who wants to support us in a project that's it's very early days and it's a Kickstarter, but we must make it clear that it is totally independent, because like Roger said, we are block producers, and block producers. We are not getting involved in anything else other than protecting. We've got a single-minded mission to protect the blockchain and produce the best node and the best way of producing blocks for the blockchain. That's where our focus is. And Roger's eye will never be on the university. That will be my domain. And when it grows and moves into things, we will always be focused on block producing, and that will be a separate entity. And I think that's really, really important. We're not being as block producers, our efforts aren't being diluted into airdrops, into any other projects. It's just being a block producer and giving value for money to token holders and value for money to the people who vote for us in protecting the blockchain, because that is the most important thing.
Yeah, because if you, at the end of the day, if you own EOS tokens, then you want them to do well. So our statement, if you like, is that by voting for us, then we're going to be protecting your investment as best as possible by just focusing on block production.
Well, that's great stuff. You got my vote. I mean, I'll be voting for you, and anybody that watches my channel, I would encourage them to vote for you too, because as I could tell by talking to you guys, you got the right motivation. You are very passionate about this project, and you would make great block producers. So you've got my vote 100%. So
that's really, really nice of you to say. Thank you, Ken. And once again, hats off to you for being such a good ambassador of EOS, and it's brilliant. So
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, as far as I know, I'm the only ambassador of EOS right now, so I don't have to run against anybody.
Brilliant.
I'm a self-appointed ambassador.
But
it's a non-paid position, so I don't know where it's going to go. But
registered your tokens, and you never know.
It's funny because I walk around at night and some people accuse me of being homeless, and it's like I can be the homeless ambassador. So anyway, you guys have been great. I've really enjoyed your talking with you, and I appreciate Mike connecting up with me so we can have this discussion. And I'm really happy about speaking with you and what you've had to say and everything like that. It's been really good. 35-40 minutes for me, and I really appreciate it. If you want to email me any of your links that you want to have as far as Telegram and your websites and all that good stuff, just go ahead and email that to me, and I'll put it in the description so people can check it out. So that'll always be there. So
thanks very much for that. Yeah, we'll make sure we get that over to you. And as well, if you've got any questions that we can help with, I mean, obviously we're not the ultimate oracle of all things EOS, but we're pretty close to it. So you know, if you get any questions come up that you want to ask us directly, or indeed to any of your viewers, you know, just get in touch through the website. We even publish a telephone number on our website, so that's how transparent we're trying to be. You know, just get in touch if we can help and support EOS, then we want to do that.
Very good. So anyway, okay, guys. Like I say, it's been a great interview. I've enjoyed every second of it, and I appreciate your time and all your energy and all your efforts. I mean, I'm a believer in EOS, and anybody that's, you know, put as much time and effort in this as you have a passion for it too. And you know, I share that, and I'm congratulate you on all your good work. You guys are great.
Thanks
a lot.
Okay, thanks. Have a good evening.
Cheerio, and I look forward to speaking to you again.
Very good. Maybe we'll get up. I'm going to start. Are you going to go to the Tulip concert? Tulip meetup up in San Francisco? Will you be there?
Yeah, but you know, we're just kind of looking at the schedule and everything. We're just going, oh man, this year we just can't make that happen. You know, but definitely, you know, once we get past this weekend, it's just, you know, block production. We're just focusing on this weekend. Even going to London, you know, on the 1st of June, we've ditched that one, and we're going on the 7th instead. And so we're just kind of like, you know, just keeping things focused down for now. But
I keep looking at the Tulip website going,
you had the flights up there.
I did. Rog, did you think that? No, Jim. I go, Rog, just think, you know, do you think that? I've been trying.
Yeah, we'll just get past this weekend, and then we'll start stepping out a bit more. And
okay, that's great. Well, we'll get a chance to meet up here some one of these days. We'll get together.
For sure.
Okay, sounds good, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
All the best. Bye for now.
Okay. Good night. Yeah. Good night. Bye.
Working out how to turn this off.
Okay.